All right. I'll be talking about the movie Blonde. This is a new Netflix released movie. This movie is about Marilyn Monroe, or as her original name is, Norma Jean. We learn at a young age that she is orphaned because her mother is unfit to raise her. Following this, Marilyn Monroe becomes a pinup girl as this is her opportunity to break into the acting industry. For the first time, she's raped, and shortly following this, she has to audition for a role. But the audition goes poorly, and she runs out of the room essentially just crying. But the casting director thinks that she's got a chance and gives her the role. And this is her breakthrough in the industry. She shortly learns that there's issues in the industry, in which they tell her she can no longer be in the polyamorous relationship that she started with Cass and Eddie. Um, and that they felt that that was not what people wanted to see from her, and she slowly started to not feel like herself. After a while, Marilyn becomes pregnant, but has an abortion because she fears that the child might inherit her mother's mental issues. So she leaves Cass and Eddie because she's embarrassed. She later marries Joe DiMaggio, a retired athlete, um, and expresses that she doesn't want to be in Hollywood anymore, so they move to New York. She also gets a letter from a man who claims to be her father, and which she's super excited because she's very disconnected from her father and has not met him. Slowly after this, Joe sexually objectifies Marilyn and basically calls her a whore from the thing like the white dress stunt, and becomes violent with her because he thinks that she's being too open with society. So she leaves him. And then she eventually breaks into Broadway after this, meets a man named Arthur Miller, and they marry each other, and she's happy. She wants to be done with acting. She's feeling like herself. And then she has an abort. She trips and falls and miscarries. Um, Slowly after this, she becomes mentally more disturbed, and begins to rely on pills. Slowly after this, she meets the president, who also rapes her, which causes her to have a hallucination that she's having a third abortion. And then right after this, she learns that one of her partners from the polyamorous relationship has passed away, and that he also happened to be the person who was writing the letters posing as her father, in which shortly after this revelation, she overdoses and dies. So I'll be talking about microaggressions in relation to female populations. So microaggressions are just super subtle, unintentional discriminations that affect members of marginalized groups. So what this looks like for women is that people expect women to maintain gender roles such as staying at home, cooking and cleaning, and having hot food for your husband when he comes home on the table. Things like sexist language, so catcalling a woman when she's on a walk by herself because you think she looks hot. And then sexual objectification. Um, this would look like a man being like, well, she asked for it because she was wearing a skirt. So what this looks like in the movie Blonde is the sexual objectification of Marilyn throughout the movie. Men rape her, men call her whore, men attack her for her body, and they um, expect her to maintain a traditional woman role. So, in relation to her polyamorous relationship, this is not a typical role that a woman has in a relationship. So, they expected her to hide this from the public as it wasn't something that society wanted to see in their eyes. Um, and then the sexual objectification, she was also a pinup girl. So, working as a pinup girl really objectifies women and their body and what they're expected to wear. And just the way that Marilyn was expected to be this strong woman role, but also hide who she really was. because people were discriminating against her and her natural self. And then here are my references. I just used the movie and a reading from this unit talking about microaggressions.